Welcome to the 11th chapter in soil mechanics, that is compaction. Two important chapters, that is compaction and consolidation. They are related to the increasing the behavior of soil in terms of its strength. Whenever we are going to construct any structure over the soil surface, the strength of soil plays very important role, and to improvise the strength of soil we are going to apply either compaction or consolidation. So what is mean by compaction? What is mean by consolidation? These two processes are mainly designed to remove the void spaces from the soil and to bring the soil grains very close to each other. Remember, the strength of soil is not because of the void spaces. The strength of soil is because of the grains, soil grains, and closer is the contact between the grains, higher is the load carrying capacity because of higher strength acquired by that soil. Our intention is to bring soil grains close to each other by using either compaction or by consolidation. Compaction is artificial process, consolidation is the natural process. Consolidation we'll discuss in detail in our next chapter, but right now we'll discuss entirely on compaction. So let's start with the first definition and the concept of compaction. What is meant by compaction? It is an artificial process to improve the engineering properties of the soil. We are applying additional surcharge load over the surface of soil by using artificial techniques such as mechanical equipments, rollers, heavy tools. These equipments we placed or we run over the soil surface to remove the voids from the soil, and when void spaces reduce, grains come closer, and that we call as a compaction. Reduction in the voids in a soil by mechanical equipments. Use of mechanical equipments is essential in compaction process. Air voids are removed under the static short-term loading process. Remember, it's very important question for 1 mark in MPSC examination, GATE examination. In a compaction, we are applying the constant static load. In consolidation we are applying static constant load. In case of compaction we are applying dynamic load which varies with respect to time. For example, roller. When roller is moving over the soil surface, it is not going to remain at one place for a long time. It moves continuously, and that motion is continuation without any stoppage or without any constant particular place. That's why these loads we call as a dynamic loads. Okay, so the main motto behind the compaction is to increase or to improve engineering properties of soil. Soil is having two types of properties, index properties and engineering properties. And remember, we learned this part. Engineering properties are very essential in case of design of structures. That's why our intention is to improve engineering properties. Those are very weak. Now let's see which properties are improved, which properties are not improved, or which properties reduces during the process of compaction. So here the changes in engineering properties of the soil due to process of compaction. The shear strength. What happened with the shear strength? Shear strength value increases. So here we can write shear strength value increases. What about the permeability? Permeability, see why shear strength increases? The particles come closer. That's why shear strength increases. Permeability means is the ability of soil which allows the passage to the water. If void spaces get reduced, then passage also reduces. As passage reduces, permeability reduces. So permeability decreases. What about compressibility? Compressibility means ability of a soil to get compressed under applied load. See, soil when you compact it, its ability to get further compressed decreases. When soil is in natural state, we can compress the soil maximum level. But when soil is compacted, we cannot compress the soil further. That's why compressibility reduces. It reduces the compressibility. What about volume? Before compaction, soil volume is large. After compaction, volume is reduced because of expulsion of air from the void spaces. That's why volume goes on decreasing. What about void ratio? Void ratio What is the formula for void ratio? Volume of voids upon volume of solid. And volume of voids consists of what? Your volume of voids consists of volume of air plus volume of water. And during the process of compaction, air escapes through the soil. That's why volume of air goes on decreasing. As volume of air decreases, volume of void decreases. As volume of void decreases, volume void ratio decreases. Okay. What about dry density? Dry density is the improving in the shear strength of the soil. Therefore, with increase in compaction, the dry density of soil increases. Okay. So dry density increases. What about degree of saturation? Many times we get confused in increase or decrease of degree of saturation. Remember, we are not going to deal with the water. Whenever loads are applied over the soil surface, there is expulsion of only air in process of compaction. No removal of water. That's why degree of saturation remains constant. It never changes. It remains a constant value. Constant value. Very important for 1 mark question. During compaction process, degree of saturation doesn't change. It remains constant. Okay. Now let's see. So see, these are the improvised in the properties under the process of compaction. Now let's see what are the changes we made in the soil grains after application of load. Okay. This is one diagram given. This is before compaction. This is after compaction. Diagram A is during compaction, or you can say before compaction, and diagram B is after compaction. Initially, when we consider soil as a natural state, it consists of soil grains and the void spaces are occupied by water and air. Now this is the surcharge load applied at the top of the soil, but surcharge load is not constant, not a static. They are moving loads, dynamic loads. Say roller. When rollers are rolling the soil, then soil grains get compacted, means by expulsion of air. The air which is present in the voids start expulsion, but water which is associated within the void spaces cannot remove under short-term loading. To remove such a water from the void spaces, we need to apply load for a long term, and that is consolidation. Okay, so in compaction, only escape of air from the soil void spaces, and during consolidation, there is expulsion of both air and water through the void spaces. So when air escape, void spaces get reduced. When void spaces get reduced, grains comes closer by reduction of volume. So this is called as compacted state of soil. Okay, and soil compaction means bringing the soil grains together so that they offer more resistance to the applied loads. 2 notes are given in your notes. The first note is volume reduction occurs due to escape of air under short-term loading under constant water content. That is my statement. Water content never changes. As water content not changes, degree of saturation remains constant. Understand? So only escape of air, water remains in the void as it is without expulsion. Water will remove only after application of long-term loading, which is possible in consolidation. Second note given is the water addition is essential during compaction, as water acts as a lubricant between the soil particles, due to which movement of soil particle becomes easy. That is again most important sentence. Why? Look at the board. When we carry out the process of compaction on a dry soil, there is no bonding between the soil grains. Who is going to play a role of binder? Just like in a concrete, cement plays role as a binder. Cement binds fine-grained and coarse-grained particles together. Similarly, in soil, we need to add something so that it acts as a binder. So, binder we are going to add during compaction in terms of water. If you observe, during an construction of embankment, construction of an earthen dam, there is one roller. That roller is moving over the soil surface, but one person is spreading water in front of the roller over the soil surface. Why? That water during the process of compaction plays an important role of a binder, that water is acting as a lubricant, and this water brings the soil particles together and their shear strength goes on increasing. So what is important point over here? For the process of compaction, addition of water is essential. But how much water is to be added? That is very important, and that we are going to test, or that we are going to determine from laboratory test. Okay, in our next concept we are going to discuss various laboratory tests for finding the values of water content. For example, suppose water content is 25%. That water content is 25%, which is given by the laboratory results. Means what? To achieve the desired shear strength of soil during the process of compaction, I need to maintain water content 25% in a soil. So when I brought the soil from any other location for the construction of an embankment, that soil is not an oven dry soil. Whenever we excavate natural soil, it is somehow moist in nature, and suppose that natural soil is having moisture content, say 15%. To achieve the desired compaction, how much water content is essential? 25%. How much is the water content available in a natural soil? 15%. Means we have to add extra 10% water during the process of compaction, and that water is going to bring the soil grains closer and shear strength of soil goes on increasing. Okay, so here completes the concept of compaction. Now let's move to the next concept in compaction. The next concept in compaction is laboratory test for finding out the compactness of soil. What is the purpose of this test? To determine amount of compaction required, means how much energy is essential to achieve the desired compaction for a particular structure. And second is optimum moisture content, means what is the water content essential to achieve the desired compaction. If you remember, in previous concept I mentioned, if water content required for compaction is 25% and natural water content of soil is 15%, means we need to add 10% of water as extra water to achieve the desired compaction. So to get this water content value, we can determine by using laboratory tests. So what are these tests? In laboratory we are going to conduct two important tests. The first test name is Indian Standard Proctor test, and second one is Indian Standard Modifier Proctor test. Many times we have confusion that these two tests are different and we have to learn these two tests separately. No, both tests are same, their platform same, their equipment same, their working principle same, their outcome same. The only change in the instrument capacity, rest of the procedure remains same. So Indian Standard Proctor test is the ideal test we generally conduct to obtain the dry density and the moisture content of a soil sample. Look at the board. Here I drawn a schematic presentation of working principle involved in Standard Proctor test. Don't say is the modifier Proctor, it's a Standard Proctor test. So what are the equipments required to conduct this test in the laboratory? The first, we require a mold of a specific capacity. That capacity is standard. We'll discuss the capacity later on. Standard mold of capacity, of desired capacity. The top portion is called as a collar. The collar is placed at the top for filling the excess soil sample to obtain the desired cutting shape of the soil. Then mold along with the collar is rest on a base plate which is made up of steel. The base plate is having two vertical clamp screws. The clamp screws are designed to hold the mold at the proper position, because when we are going to apply the compaction energy, there is a dislocation of mold from its position. To avoid that movement of mold, we use the clamp screw to hold the mold at proper position. Then we require a rammer. This is section of rammer. The top is the handle and at the bottom we have weight. This weight is used according to the standard size mentioned in the standard Proctor test. This rammer is raised up to a full height and then released with respect to gravity. Once it releases from a certain height, that is called height of fall, the weight is going to fall on a soil surface, and that weight is going to create energy. And due to this energy, the air starts escaping from the soil and compaction starts attaining its the state. So these blows we are applying according to the standard guidelines given by our standard Proctor test. Okay, so how this test is conducted, what type of soil samples we require, how to prepare soil sample, let's discuss in detail in our first step, that is standard Proctor test. Let's start the first laboratory test for determination of relative compactness and optimum moisture content, that is Indian standard Proctor test. The equipment setup we discussed in our previous concept, that is working principle. We have mold, collar, base plate, clamp screws and rammer. Now let's talk about the soil sample. The sample used for this test must passes through 4.75 micron sieve. 4.75 mm sieve, not micron, mm sieve. Very important for 1 mark question in all examination. Soil sample in standard Proctor test must be passes through 4.75 mm sieve. The soil sample required for this test is approximately 4 to 5 kg. That sample we are going to place in a large tray, and we are going to sprinkle some lump sum water over the soil sample, mix the soil sample thoroughly, and take a cloth, keep that cloth inside the water body, and that moisturized cloth you put up over the soil surface for few minutes. Okay, due to which moisture in a soil not gets evaporated, it remains within the soil mass, and by doing this our trial and error method decreases, means trial number decreases. So what is the first step? Take the soil sample approximately 4 to 5 kg, put up in a tray, add lump sum water, just make the soil moisturize, take a wet cloth and put over the soil surface and allow the soil to be remain there for at least 30 minutes of time span. After 30 minutes of time span, the sample is ready to conduct the test. So what is the procedure? We take a mold. That mold we are going to fix to the base plate by using clamp screw. Then we are not going to attach the collar. Collar is kept outside. Only mold and base plate. And that assembly we are going to keep on weighing machine, and that we call as empty mass of mold along with the base plate. We denote by this M1. Now we are going to attach now collar. Okay, now collar is attached, and we are going to fill the moist soil sample inside the mold in 3 layers, and every layer is compacted by standard rammer whose weight is 2.6 kg and falling height is 31 centimeter. Weight of rammer 2.6 kg and falling height is 31 centimeter, and every layer is compacted by 25 number of blows. Listen one more time. This mold we are going to fill in soil sample, say first layer. After placing the soil sample in a mold as a first layer, we are going to compact the soil by using rammer. The rammer is held inside the mold and it is raised. When it is raised, its height is 31 centimeter and then released by gravity. When weight falls, its mass is 2.6 kg, and that is going to create the compaction energy. Okay, and this layer we have to compact with 25 number of blows. We have to count number of blows. When it comes exactly 25, stop the application of number of blows. Now first layer is compacted. Now again fill the soil as a second layer in a mold, and again apply number of blows 25 by using standard rammer. Then fill third layer. At the time of filling the soil sample in a mold for third layer, the sample we should fill which comes slightly more than height of mold, and some sample comes in the collar, and then apply again 25 number of blows. After completion of 25 number of blows for the third trial, I am going to remove the collar. Now collar is removed. Once you remove the collar, you will realize soil sample is in excess. Then take a spatula. We need a spatula. By using this spatula, we are going to cut the, or spatula, or you can say knife, cut the excess soil sample. The soil sample which comes in as an excess portion, this excess part we have to cut by using knife or spatula and make the surface smooth, exactly equal to height of the mold. Now this mold we are going to place on weighing machine, but we have to take care of the soil sample which is fallen over the base plate. Check any sample, soil sample is not present over the base plate. Clean the base plate, and along with the base plate, put this mold with soil mass on weighing machine, and that mass we denote as M2. We called as mass of mold plus compacted soil, M2. Now we want mass of compacted soil. We have mass of mold with base plate, we have mass of mold with base plate and compacted soil. So from that, if I subtract empty mass of mold and the base plate, I will get the mass of compacted soil. So mass of compacted soil M3 is nothing but M2 minus M1. Okay, now I got the mass. Now I want volume of a mold. For the volume of a mold, we require a vernier. By using vernier caliber, I am going to measure its internal diameter, and by using a scale, I am going to measure its vertical height. So diameter is known, height is known. One can find out the volume by using volume of mold is equal to pi by 4 diameter square into height. Now I have mass of compacted soil, volume of mold, then I am going to calculate its bulk unit weight. Bulk unit weight is equal to mass of compacted soil upon volume. You can use bulk unit weight, or you can use symbol, density symbol. It doesn't matter. Okay. So density is equal to mass upon volume. Okay. Now I have bulk unit weight, mass upon volume. So this is my first trial. So I got bulk unit weight number 1. Okay. Now it's time to remove the sample from the soil again in a same tray. At the time of removing the sample, we will take some lump sum sample from the center of the mold and keep in a moisturized tin, and that tin we are going to keep inside the oven for determination of water content. Results we will get after 24 hours, but we are going to mark, suppose this is a tin and the sample is taken inside the tin, we are going to mark as trial number 1 over the surface of the tin, and that tin we kept in the oven for 24 hours. Now we have the water content that we called as W1. Say water content is 10%. Okay, because initially amount of water is very less, so say water content is 10%. Now bulk unit weight is known, water content is known. I can find out the value of what? Dry unit weight. What is the formula for dry unit weight? Gamma D is equal to gamma upon 1 plus water content. So gamma of first trial is known, water content of first trial is known. I can get the value of what? Gamma D1. Say this value is 1.2. So I'm going to write here 1.2 gram per cc. Okay, because weight, it is mass is in gram or kg, and volume is in cm cube. So let's say gram per cc. Now all the sample from the mold is taken again in a tray. Now again break the lumps of the soil and again add lump sum water. After addition of water, again mix the soil properly. This time when we add extra water, water content increases. Therefore, after mixing, again repeat the procedure. Again fill the sample in a mold. First layer 25 numbers of blows, second layer 25 numbers of blows, third layer 25 numbers of blows, and again note down the masses of mold and soil, and empty mass is known to us. Then find out the mass of soil, compacted soil. This time mass increases. Why mass increases? Because water additional increases. That's why mass of soil increases. As mass increases, your gamma bulk increases, and additional water is added. That's why water content also increases. So we have gamma 2. Say water content is now 15%. And when we use this in this expression, say this value is 1.3 gram per cc. Now again third trial, fourth trial, fifth trial, and process is going on. When to stop this process? The process you have to stop only when there is a decrease in the value of gamma D. जे काय होतं, सॉईलची ड्राय डेन्सिटी सॉईलची वाढत जाते. एक अशी स्टेज येते की आफ्टर दॅट स्टेज water content increases but there is decrease in the dry density of soil or dry unit weight of soil. सॉइलचं ड्राय युनिट वेट कमी व्हायला लागतं पण वॉटर कंटेंट वाढत जातं. दॅट इंडिकेट्स द कंप्लिशन ऑफ अचिव्हिंग द ड्राय डेन्सिटी ऑफ सॉइल. So again suppose gamma 3 water content 20%, 1.4 gram per cc. Gamma 3 water content say 25%, 1.5 gram per cc. And for fifth trial suppose water content is 30% but gamma value decreases to 1.3 gram per cc like this. That decrease in gamma D value indicates the process is now stops. Okay, now by using the values available for every trial as water content and dry unit weight, we are going to find out the compaction curve. Okay, so we'll take these values as a reference and water content values as a reference and gamma unit weight or dry unit weight of soil as a reference, and we'll try to plot a compaction curve. Look at the board. We'll start plotting of compaction curve. On y-axis we will mark the values of dry unit weight gamma D. On x-axis we'll mark values of water content, that is W percentage. Okay, x-axis we have water content, y-axis we have dry unit weight. Okay, so for reference I will do like this: 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%, 35%, and so on. And for dry density I will choose 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, and so on. It is in gram per cc. We are plotting this curve with reference to this trial and error table. Okay, so for first water content is 10%, value is 1.2. We got the first point. Second point, water content 15%, 1.3, like this. Third trial, water content is 20%, gamma D is 1.4, like this. Then fourth trial, water content is 25%, 1.5 gram per cc is the value. And for last trial number 5, water content is 30% and dry unit weight is 1.3. So it's a decreases like this. Now these are the points from the table. Now I am going to join these points by smooth parabolic curve. This curve we called as compaction curve. Okay, so this is the maximum dry density that attained during this trial and error method, and this highest value or the peak value we called as MDD, maximum dry density, and the water content value corresponding to maximum dry density we denote as OMC, that is optimum moisture content. What is the meaning of this? 25% इतक्या optimum moisture content ला we achieved highest or maximum dry density. So these two values we are going to obtain from this particular compaction test, that is maximum dry density and OMC. In our case, for this trial and error method, maximum dry density we achieved is 1.5 gram per cc and optimum moisture content is 25%. If you observe from the graph, with increase in water content, dry density increases, attain peak value, then with further increase in water content, dry density decreases. म्हणजे ड्राय डेन्सिटी वॉटर कंटेंट बरोबर वाढत जाते, एका ठराविक पॉइंटला जाऊन ती हायेस्ट व्हॅल्यू अटेन करते, पण तिथून पुढे जरी वॉटर कंटेंट वाढलं तरी ड्राय डेन्सिटी वाढत नाही, म्हणजे सॉइलची स्ट्रेंथ वाढत नाही. असं का होतं? When we add excess water, all the void spaces are now compacted, grains are very close to each other. Even after that, addition of further water makes the soil in a liquidity state. In that case, the density of soil is not going to attain to the further highest value. It causes decrease in the density of a soil. म्हणजे एक्सेस वॉटर जसं वाढत जातं तसं वॉटरची लेवल वाढत गेल्यामुळं सॉइलची स्ट्रेंथ परत काय व्हायला लागते, कमी व्हायला लागते. दॅट्स वाय ड्युरिंग कॉम्पॅक्शन प्रोसेस वी रिक्वायर्ड ऑप्टिमम मॉइश्चर कंटेंट. in our further concepts we'll discuss this, what is the effect of lower water and excess water on compaction state. Okay, so for now here we complete the plotting of compaction curve. After this we are going to discuss the comparison between standard Proctor test and modifier Proctor test with formulation of energy theories. Let's start comparison between standard Proctor test and modifier Proctor test. If you remember, I told standard Proctor test and modifier Proctor test, their working mechanism, their applications, their principles all are same, only changes in the equipment capacity, rest of the part remains same. Okay, now let's see what are the major difference between the conduction of test as a standard Proctor and as a modifier Proctor. So first point is volume of mole. Volume of mole, we used similar volume in both standard and modifier, that is 1 liter means 10 raised to 3 centimeter cube or cubic centimeter, that is 1000. Here is also same 1 liter. Number of layers, when we are going to fill the soil sample inside the mold, we are going to fill the mold in 3 layers for standard Proctor, but for modifier Proctor number of layers are 5. Number of blows we are applying in standard Proctor as 25 numbers for each layer. Similar number of blows we are applying but for 5 layers in modifier Proctor. Weight of rammer, this is very important question for 1 mark. Weight of rammer used in a standard Proctor is 2.6 kg, but weight of rammer used in modifier Proctor is 4.9 kg. The height of fall, again important for 1 mark question. The height, when we raise the rammer up and release by gravity, the height of fall is 31 centimeter in standard Proctor test and it is 45 centimeter in modifier Proctor test. Now we are going to calculate how much is the consumption of energy in both standard and modifier Proctor test. Let's see how to find out energy. Energy is equal to weight of rammer into height of fall into number of blows into number of layers. Okay, so let's first calculate for standard Proctor test. For standard Proctor, okay, so weight of rammer 2.6 kg, height of fall 31 centimeter, number of blows 25. How many layers are there? 3. So when you solve this, you will come to know the value is 6045 kg centimeter. So energy consumption is in standard Proctor test is 6045 kg centimeter. Now let's calculate for modifier Proctor test. So for modifier, weight of rammer is 4.9 kg into height of fall 45 centimeter, number of blows 25 into layers are 5 in number. When you calculate this, this value comes 27,562.5 kg centimeter, like this. If you observe, the energy generation for compaction in standard Proctor test is only 6,000 and energy generation in modifier Proctor is approximately 27,000. Okay, let's calculate the percentage change in the compaction energy. If we calculate, then the result comes, it is 4.55 times more. It comes 4.55 times more, means energy generation in modifier Proctor is 4.55 times more than energy generation in standard Proctor test. Now what are the application of this test? That is our last point in this comparison. For which particular application which test is applicable? So remember, standard Proctor test results are used for highway embankment, canal banks and for small level earthen dams. Okay, small level. Means whenever we are going to deal with the soil structures like highway embankment, canal banks or small scale dams, earthen dams, we refer the results of standard Proctor test. But when we are dealing with expressways, runways for aircraft operation, expressway, runway, major earthen dams, we prefer results of modified Proctor test. Okay, so in your notes, one note is given, two notes are given. That notes are very, very important. The first note is we already discussed over here. That is energy, compaction energy used in a modified Proctor test is 4.45 times more than compaction energy used in a standard Proctor test. Okay. Second note is again very important note. Remember, all notes you have to mark by different color pen. Okay. So what your second note says, according to second note, we have to take a sieve of 4.75 mm. The soil sample used for both tests must passes through 4.75 mm IS sieve. When we call sample is passing, if 50% or more soil sample must pass through 4.75 mm sieve. But if 20%, if retention percentage retained is more than 20%, so when we take a natural dry soil sample and place in a mold of paste in a sieve of 4.75 mm and start sieving process, and then we realize 20% or more fraction retained on 4.75 mm sieve, म्हणजे 20% किंवा त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त सॅम्पल हे रिटेन होतं, ते पास होत नाही, तर अशा केसमध्ये we are not going to use a mold capacity of 1 liter in both standard and modified Proctor. The mold capacity we have to revise, and the new mold volume is 2.25 liters. 2.25 liters for both standard and modified. And number of blows this time not 25, we have to use 56 number of blows. 56 number of blows for both standard and Proctor. Okay, so what is your note number 2? When 20% or more fraction retained on 4.75 mm sieve, then mold used for standard Proctor and modified Proctor has larger capacity, that is 2.25 liter, that is 2.25 into 10 raised to 3 cm cube. Then 56 number of blows instead of 25 number of blows. As number of blows increases, your compaction energy also increases. Okay, so this second note is very, very important in competitive examination for 1 mark question. Okay, so here completes the comparison between the standard Proctor and modified Proctor. Now let's see the concept of zero air void line. Means after plotting the compaction curve, after conducting the number of trials in laboratory, how to obtain zero air void line for a particular soil sample. Okay, let's begin the concept of zero air void line, which is also known as 100% saturation line. What is meant by 100% saturation? In a soil mass, void and solid, both components are present. Okay, so volume of void is a combination of volume of air and volume of water. When soil get full saturation means water is in excess quantity and that void spaces are completely occupied by the water, then what about the air volume? Air volume is almost negligible or zero. When air completely gets zero by full addition of water, that we call as a saturation. Means here this line is drawn which indicates the 100% saturation of soil. Line drawn by considering zero air voids in a soil. It is a line drawn by joining the points and getting the straight line. That straight line is nothing but a line of zero air voids. This line indicates compactness of soil. Very important, you mark this point by different color pen. Zero air void line is used to indicate the compactness of soil. Means the compaction achieved is as per desired requirements, or compaction is not yet achieved. That we can verify by drawing the zero air void line. Then let's move to the next important part, that is equation of zero air void line. What is the equation of zero air void line? That depends upon the equation which is used for calculation of dry unit weight of soil. That is gamma D is equal to 1 minus Na gamma W into G divided by 1 plus W into G, that is water content into specific gravity. Now when we consider as a zero air means, what is meant by air? Na stands for percentage air contained, whose formula is Na equal to volume of air upon total volume multiplied by 100. If air presence is 0, then volume of air is what? 0. Therefore, Na is equal to what? 0. When I'm going to replace Na equal to 0 in this expression, I can get the value of gamma D max is equal to gamma W into G upon 1 plus W into G. This expression we called as expression for getting the highest values of dry unit weights in a soil when air voids are completely 0. Okay, so this is we called as 100% saturation level. Why? Suppose we know that E equal to W into G upon SR. E equal to W into G upon SR. Actually here term is 1 plus W into G divided by what? SR. And here it is 100% saturation, that's why SR value becomes what? 1. For 100% saturation, SR is equal to what? 1. Therefore, if I replace over here, E becomes W into G. If you remember the formula or relationship for unit weight, that is dry unit weight, we have like this. Dry unit weight gamma D is equal to gamma W into G upon 1 plus E. Here I am going to replace E as W into G. Therefore, gamma D is equal to gamma W into G upon 1 plus W into G. It's the same formula. Understand? So this formula, this relationship we already known in our previous chapter of soil mechanics. But how it comes? Here denominator is E, but E is equal to what? W into G upon SR. We are going to plot zero air void line by considering 100% saturation, and for 100% saturation SR is equal to what? 1. Therefore denominator is 1, E equal to W into G. If you replace over here, then E becomes WG. Then formula is getting the values of maximum dry unit weight of a soil when air voids are completely 0. Okay, so in your notes, the point is given like this. This indicates line position depends upon gamma D max values, which in turn depends on only specific gravity and water contained. How to plot zero air void line that depends upon the values of maximum dry unit weight, and maximum dry unit weight calculation depends on only specific gravity of soil, which remains constant for all the trials, and water contained. But in case of compaction, water contained value is not constant. We learned in our previous concept of Indian Standard Modifier Proctor test. In that test, water contained value changes with every trial, and water contained value goes on increasing. Understand? And gamma D value increases, attain peak value and then goes on decreasing. Means gamma D max depends on only water contained, because unit weight of water constant, G constant, so it depends only on water contained. And if we have values of water contained with us, simply replace the value in this expression for every trial and then get the value of gamma D max for every trial and plot a zero air void line. We'll discuss after this how to plot a zero air void line by considering one practical example. Moving towards plotting of zero air void line. For that, we'll consider one practical example. So that values are given in a tabular form. To plot a compaction curve, we require dry unit weight and water contained. These values we are going to consider as an example. Suppose there are total 6 number of trials and gamma D values are 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.7. We know that the gamma D value goes on increasing, and after certain attainment of water content, the further increase of water content, gamma D value goes on decreasing. So 1.5, 1.3, and these are the water contents. Okay, we don't focus right now on the last column. That column, how it comes, we'll discuss along with plotation of zero air void line. So first of all, I'm going to plot compaction curve. So water content first is 10%. For 10%, value is 1.2, like this. For 15%, water content is gamma D is 1.4. Second point. For 20% water content 1.6, 20% water content 1.6. Then for 25% water content, gamma D is 1.7, like this. And for 30% water content, gamma D is 1.5, value decreases for 30, but water content continuously goes on increasing. Then for the 35% of water content, gamma D is 1.3, 1.3. For 35% of water content, we got all the points. Now I'm going to join these points by smooth curve. This we call as compaction curve. This we call compaction curve. Now I'm going to plot zero air void line. To obtain the points for zero air void line, we have to use equation of zero air void line. What is the equation for zero air void line? Gamma D max, here we can use a max. Gamma D max is equal to gamma W into G upon 1 plus WG. As I said, gamma D max values are depend only on water content, because for a given soil, the specific gravity is always constant and unit weight of water gamma W is a universal constant. For time being, let's say G of specific gravity, say 2.5, you can assume any value, depends upon the your actual soil condition, but here time is an assumption, say 2.5, and gamma W in gram per cc is 1. Why gram per cc? Because in this tabular form, to plot a compaction curve, gamma D values we considered in gram per cc. If it is in kn per meter cube, you can use gamma W 9.81 kn per meter cube. Okay, now simply I'm going to replace the values in this expression. Okay, so see the first trial, gamma D max is equal to gamma W in gram per cc 1, G is 2.5 divided by 1 plus water content is 10% used in fraction 0.1 into 2.5. When you solve this, your answer is 2 gram per cc. This value is written over here. Means for water content 10%, gamma D max, that gamma D max is a point of zero air void line. So it's a 2 gram per cc. And as water content increases, see the denominator is increased, denominator term increases, the gamma D max value decreases. So with increase in water content values, gamma D max values goes on decreasing. Okay, now we got all the values by replacing only water content in this expression. Now let's see how to plot these values on a graph. So for 10% water content, we have value 2 gram per cc. I need to extend this x-axis 1.8, 1.9 and say 2. So for 10% water content, I got the point exactly above 10% line. Here is my first point. Then for water content 15%, 1.82, 15%, 1.82, somewhere here. Then water content 20%, the value is 1.67, like this, it comes over here. Water content 30%, 25%, 1.54, like this. Water content 30%, 1.43 comes over here. Water content 35%, point is 1.33, so 1.33 will take over here, like this. Now these all points are in a straight line. If you join like this, the line joining these points in a straight manner is known as zero air void line. Zero air void line. Understand? This is the way of drawing the zero air void line with respect to compaction curve. And to plot the points of zero air void line, we require water content and respective values of maximum dry unit weight. Now, what is the use of this zero air void line? As I said, zero air void line is used to decide the compactness of soil. How? Suppose for this compaction curve, zero air void line is very close to the curve. Zero air void line is very close to curve, and in second case, for a compaction curve, zero air void line is far away from the curve. this is close, this is away. Okay, if your zero air void line is very close or very nearer to compaction curve, it indicates dense compaction or stiff compaction. As zero air void line moves away from compaction curve, it indicates looseness of soil or relatively low compaction. Okay, so in your notes we given these 2 points. The position of zero air void line indicates degree of compaction. When line is close to compaction curve, indicates good compaction. When line is moves away from the curve, indicates poor compaction or loose compaction. Okay, so this is not good, and this is the achievement of high level compaction. So when we plot zero air void line and this line very close to curve, means our compaction attains the higher degree of compaction. Okay, one more point is given in your notes. When 100% saturation is not possible, it indicates presence of some air. If saturation is 80% or any other value rather than 100%, then how to calculate the points of gamma D max? But this time it is not gamma D max, it is only gamma D. Okay, so for that again concentrate. If degree of saturation is not 100%, if SR is not 100%, say SR equal to 80%, then how to find out the values of gamma D? We have expression gamma D equal to 1 minus Na gamma W into G upon 1 plus W into G. Okay, now here we are going to replace, see 100% saturation is not possible, means some air is present. As air is present, we have to use this technique, AC plus SR is equal to 100%. Therefore AC equals to 100 minus SR. We got the amount of air content. So we got the value of air content, which is used to find out value of Na. Now the denominator is not W into G, E equal to W into G upon SR, and this expression we are going to replace by E into SR. Okay, so W into G is now becoming W into G. So W into G is equal to E into SR. Okay, so now this value as gamma D equal to gamma W into G upon 1 plus E. Therefore gamma W into G upon 1 plus W into G upon SR. As SR is 100%, we'll take this value as 1. If SR is not 100%, then suppose here is case is 80%. So gamma D is equal to gamma WG upon 1 plus W into G upon SR is 0.8, like this. So this is the expression to calculate the values of gamma D to plot the zero air void line if saturation is not 100%. Okay, so here completes the ideology for plotting the zero air void line, the meaning of zero air void line, the compactness identification by using zero air void line. Let's move to the next concept, that is factors affecting compaction. Means what are the various factors which directly or indirectly controls the compaction of a soil mass when we are doing it on field. Let's start discussion on factors affecting compaction. There are various factors which controls the compaction, but among these various factors, the most important factor is the water content. We learn in a standard Proctor test as well as in a modified Proctor test, the water content is essential during the process of compaction, and we are going to add water at every trial, means water addition increases with every trial, and we are going to determine the corresponding value of dry unit weight of soil. So what we observe in both standard Proctor and modified Proctor test, when we plot the compaction curve, it indicates with increase in water content, the dry unit weight of soil increases, attain peak value, then with further increase in water content, the value of dry unit weight decreases. Okay, means water content goes on increasing, but dry unit weight increases, attain peak value, and then again decreases. Now question is, why this happen during the process of compaction? What is the basic formula for dry unit weight? It's a weight upon volume. Okay, means one can say dry unit weight is inversely proportional to 1 upon volume. What is volume? Volume is equal to combination of volume of air, volume of water, volume of solid. Forget about volume of solid, it remains constant. Focus on volume of air and volume of water. During compaction process, we are applying number of blows by using a rammer, or in practical field, we are going to apply load by using mechanical rollers. When that heavy rollers applies the load on a soil mass, air escape. As air escape, volume of air decreases. As volume of air decreases, the total volume of soil decreases. As total volume of soil decreases, gamma D value increases. Understand? As V decreases, gamma D increases, inversely proportional. Understand? Now the main point is, means with every compaction efforts, the total volume of air reduces. That's why gamma D value increases. But after certain interval of time, after this value, it goes on increasing up to this point. Here all the air may escape, all air voids escape, but we are going to add water continuously. Therefore, after certain time, volume of water increases. As volume of water increases, again total volume increases, and again total volume increases, means the gamma D value decreases. Understand? That's why after certain points, with further increase in water content, the gamma D value decreases. Okay, now let's move to the second factor, that is amount of compaction. It is very common. With increase in compaction efforts or with increase in compaction energy, the dry unit weights increases. Means if we conduct the two practicals simultaneously, that is standard Proctor test and modifier Proctor test, in these two tests the rammer used is having different weights. The weight of rammer in a standard Proctor test is 2.6 kg, whereas the weight of rammer used in modifier Proctor is 4.9 kg. Even though height of fall is also different, height of fall in standard Proctor test is 31 centimeter, and in case of modifier Proctor test 45 centimeter. Therefore, generation of energy is different. That's why with increase in more compaction efforts, the dry unit weights increases, and at the same time the optimum moisture content value decreases. म्हणजे काय, जर आपण कॉम्पॅक्शन एनर्जी वाढवली तर सॉइलची ड्राय डेन्सिटी आपल्याला कमीत कमी वॉटर कंटेंट मध्ये अचीव करता येते. म्हणजे आपला OMC काय लागतो, आपल्याला कमी लागतो. सपोज इफ आय एम गोइंग टू प्लॉट these two values, means the result of compaction test standard Proctor and modifier Proctor on a single graph, then how they looks like. The first graph is here, the second graph is here. So first graph will show highest values of gamma D max, that is OMC is here. Second graph is again showing the values of gamma D max, and here is the OMC. So more is the OMC, least is the value of dry unit weight, least is the value of OMC, highest is the value of gamma D max, and this is possible because of use of higher compaction energy. So this graph is for modified Proctor test, and this is for standard Proctor test. So one can say from this figure, when we plot these two curves on a single graph, when we plot two compaction curves in a one graph, then with increase in compaction energy, the compaction curve shifted to the left side of the graph, and when it shifted to the left hand side, OMC value decreases and gamma D max value increases. Means higher is the compaction energy, better is the compaction, higher is the dry unit weight, but with least values of OMC. Okay, now let's move to the third factor which affects compaction.